Okay, listen. I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. It was freezing, like full-on sterile metal table kind of cold. They had me rotated into fertilizing, which is basically punishment if you ask me. And of course, the director was giving one of his tours. Voice all booming, teeth too white, showing off rows of embryos like he's proud of this creepy baby factory. Everything smelled like sanitizer and peppermint plastic. But then I saw him, Bernard Marks, all hunched and weird, eyes darting like he was trying to catch a secret before it disappeared. And what does he do? He asked me to go on a trip to the Savage Reservation. I mean, what? I thought he was joking, but he was dead serious. And I don't know, I said yes, because why not? Because I was bored, because something in his voice felt like trouble. And trouble always makes a good story. But before that, solidarity service night. I usually love it. The robes, the strawberry soma, the way the lights pulse with the music, like you're inside a warm heartbeat. But Bernard's group? No rhythm, no vibe. Morgana Rothschild was there with that unforgivable unibrow, and Bernard was looking around like he was being watched by the ceiling. We passed the cup, sang the chants, did the whole 12-into-1 meltdown. But it felt off. I peeked around during the "he's coming" climax, yeah, that one, and saw two people pretending, faking the transcendence. And I thought, maybe I was too. But I laughed, I danced, I melted. Because that's what we're supposed to do. Right? Okay, so fast forward. We get to the reservation, and the second we land, it hits me. This is not going to be cute. It smells like smoke and wet rocks and history no one asked for. No scent taps, no vibration floors, no mirrors, just dirt, real dirt, on the ground. Bernard, he's acting like he's found religion. Chest all puffed up, like discomfort is some kind of virtue now. And then they take us up this cliff. Like, on foot, I was sweating, I was dusty, my belt chafed. And then we got to the top, and I saw it. Girl. There were drums, feathers, fire. And then this boy walks out. Maybe 19? Brown skin, quiet eyes, bare chest. He starts walking around this pile of live snakes, and out comes this guy in a mask, full-on animal head, and he just whips him like no holding back. Raw, loud, sickening cracks. And the boy, he didn't even flinch. The crowd cheered, and I ran. I literally ran behind a wall and held my breath and tried not to throw up. Bernard found me 5 minutes later, breathing like it was church. He looked me in the eye and said, "You see now, don't you?" And I wanted to scream, "No, Bernard, I don't see. I just want to leave." And then we met the boy. He walked up to us and, get this, he spoke perfect English. Blonde hair, pale skin, quoting Shakespeare like it was his native language. And then he tells us his mother was one of us, a beta, who got left behind 20 years ago. And she's still alive, still wearing her faded beta clothes, still doing conditioning rhymes in her sleep. But now, she's fat, broken, teeth gone. And when she saw me, she hugged me. Like we were sisters or something. I wanted to cry, or scream, or scrub my entire body with disinfectant. And Bernard, he was glowing, like he'd found the missing piece of his sad, misunderstood little puzzle. Then he invited the boy, John, to come back with us. And I didn't say anything, because I was too busy trying to figure out if any of this was real. That night I couldn't sleep. The drums were still echoing. The boy's voice was stuck in my head. Those lines about suffering, about love, about purity. And Bernard, he was already planning the announcement. Like he'd found a pet philosopher in the desert and couldn't wait to show him off. I looked up at the stars. real ones, not the light panel kind. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel part of anything, just floating, weightless, and deeply, deeply awake. Coming back with him was surreal. I mean, I've returned from trips before. You come home, you detox, you sleep it off. But this time, I was stepping off the transport with a savage at my side. People stared. Bernard acted like a tour guide on a power trip. And John? He just stared at everything. The sky signs, the travel capsules, my face, like we were made of magic and mistakes. And for a second, I felt proud, like maybe I was part of something important. Until the novelty wore off. Bernard changed. Overnight. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be near him. The man who discovered the savage, like he'd pulled John from a volcano instead of a crumbling hut in New Mexico. He started throwing parties, wearing different cologne, using words like authenticity and introspection. It was exhausting. And John? He stopped going to events, said they felt like zoos. Honestly, I agreed, but Bernard didn't. He begged John to keep showing up, like a desperate dad trying to get his gifted kid to perform. And when John said no, Bernard fell apart. One night, I took John to the Feelies, that new one, 3 weeks in a helicopter, super sensual, tactile, everyone was raving, but he hated it, didn't speak, didn't blink. Afterward, I reached for his hand and he pulled back like I'd burned him. Said it was shameful, shameful. I'd never even heard that word in real life before. And then he looked at me, really looked, and asked if I was happy. And I couldn't answer. Not because I wasn't, but because I didn't know. I tried to be with him. I mean, really tried. No games, no soma, just me. I invited him over, lit the scent taps, wore the silver mesh dress, and he recited Shakespeare. Then he panicked, called me impure, said touching me would destroy something sacred. And I stood there, half naked and completely humiliated. He left. I didn't take soma, wanted to feel the whole thing. And I did. Bernard threw a party, a big one. Everyone came, alphas, songsters, even controllers in waiting. He promised they'd meet John. And John didn't show, locked himself in a room and refused to speak. People whispered. The arch community songster walked out. Bernard begged him to stay. I didn't say a word, because it was over. Whatever Bernard thought he had, it crumbled right there, on imported carpeting and spilled soma fizz. We got summoned. Bernard, Helmholtz, me, and John. Mustafa Mond sat there like a stone god and said he'd read everything. The poetry, the complaints, the reports. He asked questions, told stories, argued with John about God, pain, beauty. And I said nothing. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't belong in that room. I wasn't writing poems. I wasn't throwing fits. I was just surviving, which in our world is enough, but also never enough. Helmholtz was being sent to an island. Bernard too. Helmholtz smiled, said he wanted storms, said it would help him write. Bernard cried. I didn't follow them. I just stood there watching the only two people I'd halfway understood walk out of my life. I wanted to feel something big, but all I felt was tired. John left. He didn't say goodbye. He just disappeared, off to some lighthouse no one could point to on a map. I thought about chasing him, but he didn't want me. Not really. He wanted purity, and I was born conditioned. They found him, of course. Someone always does. They made a whole feelie about him. The savage's solitude. Turned his pain into a trailer, a punchline. They watched him whip himself. And they laughed. And I watched too. and I hated myself for it. He's gone now. They said they found him in the grass, peaceful, quiet, but they didn't say if he was breathing. They didn't have to. And me? I'm still here, taking my doses, smiling on cue, floating, but I remember every word he said. And sometimes, late at night, I imagine he's still out there, alive, unbroken, free,